deduction.
Let me ask you about money to be saved in tax reform, because if the government saves money in tax reform, that means somebody's taxes go up. Do you think that taxes have been raised enough on the wealthy?
I can tell you that there are still deductions, credits, special treatments under the tax code, which ought to be looked at very carefully. We forego about $1.2 trillion a year in the tax code, money that otherwise would go to the government. And when you look closely, some of those things are near and dear to us individually and to the economy. The mortgage interest deduction, charitable deductions, deductions for state and local taxes. But beyond that, trust me, there are plenty of things within that tax code, these loopholes where people can park their money in some island offshore and not pay taxes. These are things that need to be closed. We can do that and use the money to reduce the deficit.
So there are other taxes that you believe that you can, however you want to put them, raise, retrieve, whatever, from the wealthy?
Absolutely. And I'll also tell you that I think we need to open our minds to other tax revenue. You know, we've had conversations about an infrastructure fund that will really start America building again for the highways and airports and locks and dams.
How do you fund
and things
that?
That are so essential.
I mean, it's already funded by gas taxes, right? You want to raise federal gas tax?
I believe we should have energy taxes that really fund infrastructure investment. It's going to create jobs in America. Pardon me?
On who? What? I'm sorry. Whose taxes would be raised?
Well, there's a variety of ways to approach this, Candy. I mean, we've talked about the gas tax. Now's not the moment to raise it, but it really is something we should consider in the future. But there are other sources of energy taxes we ought to consider. To give you an example, the electric power grid in America is ancient. And if we are going to expand it so that it can meet the needs of the 21st century, we need an investment. That means revenue coming in from that sector. I think they'd be open to it if the investment went back into the infrastructure.
Let me ask you, when you talk about these special loopholes and et cetera that you want to close in tax reform, there were some things in this fiscal cliff, last-minute deal, didn't even make the deadline, and it was all to save the middle class from not getting a tax hike. And yet included, and this is just a partial list, included in this bill were tax breaks for Puerto Rican rum producers, tax breaks for Hollywood filmmakers, tax deductions for NASCAR, and tax credits for algae growers. So this is money coming out of the Treasury. So why is all of that in this bill? Isn't that exactly the kind of thing you're going to run into in tax reform? Because something is sacred to algae growers. And somewhere, somebody is making sure that they continue. It may be very important. I have no idea what the tax break is for algae growers. But nonetheless, they were included in this bill. Why?
Well, I haven't heard from the algae lobby, so I don't know what their position was on this bill, but I think you're describing that category of tax extenders. These were temporary tax breaks given long ago that have been renewed year after year. Max Baucus has been the first to say we need to sit down and look at these. Am I for the wind energy tax credit? Yes. I want to see us move toward a greener, cleaner form of energy in our future. But when you start ticking off the others, as small as they may be, these things have really outlived their usefulness. And that can be part of tax reform as well.
I suspect, Senator, that it's possible you might not have had enough votes for this bill if some of these tax breaks weren't in there, that these were sort of payoffs.
Well, you're certainly not new to Washington because you know how it works. You bring together a majority by putting something in the bill that is appealing to a member of Congress.
Right.
And who knows who represents the algae lobby on Capitol Hill, but they must have been very happy with the outcome.
We'll try to find out. A final question.